Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya, Jai Nityananda, Jai Advaita Chandra Jaya, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya, Jai Nityananda, Jai Advaita Chandra Jaya, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. The Bhattacharya continued. The impersonalists who did not accept the transcendental form of Lord Sri Krishna, and the demons who are always engaged in blaspheming and fighting with him, are punished by being merged into the Brahman effulgence. But that does not happen to the person engaged in devotional service of the Lord. There are 5 kinds of liberation: Salokya, Samipya, Swarupya, Sharti, and Sayuja. Salokya means that after material liberation, one is promoted to the planet where the Supreme Personality of Godhead resides. Samipya means remaining an associate of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Sarupya means attaining a 400 form, exactly like that of the Lord. Sarshti means attaining opulences like those of the Supreme Lord. And Sayuja means merging into the Brahman effulgence of the Lord. These are the 5 types of liberation. If there is a chance to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead, a pure devotee sometimes accepts the Salokya, Sarupya, Samipya, or Shasti forms of liberation, but never Sayuja. A pure devotee does not like even to hear about Sayuja Mukti, which inspires him with fear and hatred. Indeed, the pure devotee would rather go to hell than merge into the effulgence of the Lord. Purport. Srila Prabodhananda Sarasvati has sung Kaivalya Manakarya Day. The impersonal conception of becoming one with the effulgence of the Lord is exactly like hell. Therefore, of the 5 types of liberation, the first 4, Salokya, Samipya, Swarupya, and Shasti, are not so undesirable because they can be avenues of service to the Lord. Nonetheless, a pure devotee of the Lord Krishna rejects even these types of liberation. He aspires only to serve Krishna birth after birth. He is not very interested in stopping the repetition of birth, for he simply desires to serve the Lord, even in hellish circumstances. Consequently, the pure devotee hates and fears Sayuja Mukti, merging into the effulgence of the Lord. This merging is due to an offense committed against the transcendental loving service of the Lord, and therefore it is not at all desirable for a pure devotee. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya continued. There are 2 kinds of Sayuja Mukti: merging into the Brahman effulgence and merging into the personal body of the Lord. Merging into the Lord's body is even more abominable than merging into his effulgence. Purport. According to the opinion of the Mayavadi Vedantists, the living entity's ultimate success is to merge into the impersonal Brahman. The impersonal Brahman or bodily effulgence of the Supreme Lord is known as Brahmalok or Siddhalok. According to the Brahma Samhita, Yasya Prabha Paravato Jagat Anda Koti, the material universes are generated from the bodily rays of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yogis who follow the principles of Patanjali accept the personality of the Absolute Truth, but they want to merge into the transcendental body of the Supreme Lord. That is their desire. Being the greatest authority, the Supreme Lord can easily allow many millions of living entities to merge into his body. The origin of everything is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Bhagavan, and his bodily effulgence is known as Brahma Jyoti, Brahmalok or Siddhalok. Thus, Brahmalok or Siddhalok is a place where many spark-like living entities, parts and parcels of the Supreme Lord, are assembled. Because these living entities do not wish to keep their individual existences, they are combined and allowed to remain in Brahmalok like so many atomic particles of sunshine emanating from the sun. The word Siddha is very significant. Siddha refers to one who has realized the Brahman effulgence and who has complete knowledge that the living entity is not a material atom, but a spiritual spark. This understanding is described in Bhagavad Gita as Brahma Bhuta. In the conditioned state, the living entity is known as Jiva Bhuta, or the living force within matter. Brahma Bhuta living entities are allowed to stay in Brahmalok or Siddhalok, but unfortunately they sometimes again fall into the material world because they are not engaged in devotional service. This is supported by the verse in Srimad Bhagavatam beginning Yenye Vavindaksha. These semi-liberated souls falsely claim to be liberated, but unless one engages in devotional service to the Lord, he is still materially contaminated. Therefore, these living entities have been described as Vimukta Manina, meaning that they falsely consider themselves liberated, although their intelligence is not yet purified. Although these living entities undergo severe austerities to rise to the platform of Siddhalok, they cannot remain there perpetually, for they are bereft of Anand, bliss. Even though these living entities attain the Brahma Bhuta stage and realize the Supreme Personality of Godhead through his bodily effulgence, they nonetheless fall down due to neglecting the Lord's service. They do not properly utilize whatever little knowledge they have of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Not attaining Ananda or bliss, they come down to the material world to enjoy. This is certainly a fall down for one who is actually liberated. The Bhaktas consider such a fall down equal to achieving a place in hell. The followers of the Patanjali yoga system actually want to merge into the body of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This indicates that they do not want to engage in his service despite their knowledge of him, and thus their position is even more abominable than that of those who want to merge into the Lord's effulgence. These yogis meditate on the four-handed Vishnu form of the Lord in order to merge into his body. The Patanjali system describes the form of the Lord as Klesha Karma Vipakshaya, Aparamritya Purushe Vishesha Ishvaraha. The Supreme Personality of God is a person who does not partake of the miserable material life. The yogis accept the eternity of the Supreme Person in one of their mantras, Sapurvesham Api Guru Kalana Vachedat. Such a person is always supreme and is not influenced by the element of time. The followers of the Patanjali system therefore accept the eternity of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yet, according to them, Purushartha Sunyanam Pati Prashava Kaivalam Sharupya Pratishta Chitti Shakta Iti. They believe that in the perfectional stage, the conception of Purusha is vanquished. According to their description, Chitti Shakti Iti, they believe that when one becomes perfect, he cannot remain a person. This yoga system is therefore abominable because its final conception is impersonal. In the beginning, these yogis accept the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but they ultimately give up this idea in order to become impersonal. They are most unfortunate because although they have a personal conception of the absolute truth, they neglect to render devotional service to the Lord and thus fall down again into the material world. As mentioned above, this idea is supported by Srimad Bhagavatam. Aruya Krishnena Param Param Tata Ajancharo Nadrita Yasmat Anvidayaha. Due to the neglecting the lotus feet of the Lord, these yogis again fall down into the material existence. Chaitanya. Consequently, this path of yoga is more abominable than the impersonalist path. This conclusion is also supported by Lord Kapila Dev in the following verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya concluded, even though he is offered all kinds of liberation, the pure devotee does not accept them. He is fully satisfied engaging in the service of the Lord. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu replied, the word Mukti Pade has another meaning. Mukti Pada directly refers to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. All kinds of liberation exist under the feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, he is known as Mukti Pada. According to another meaning, Mukti is the ninth subject, and the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the shelter of liberation. Purport. Lord Sri Krishna is also known as Mukunda, or he who gives transcendental bliss by offering all kinds of mukti. Srimad Bhagavatam is divided into 12 cantos, and in the 9th canto, different kinds of mukti are described. But the 10th canto is the actual center of all discussions of mukti, because the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, who is the 10th subject discussed in Srimad Bhagavatam, is the exclusive subject of the 10th canto. Since all types of mukti reside at the lotus feet of Sri Krishna, he may be called Mukti Pada. Since I can understand Krishna according to these two meanings, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, what point is there in changing the verse? Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya replied, I was not able to give that reading to the verse. Although your explanation is correct, it should not be used because there is ambiguity in the word mukti pada. The word mukti refers to 5 kinds of liberation, but its direct meaning usually conveys the idea of becoming one with the Lord. The very sound of the word mukti immediately induces hate and fear. But when we say the word bhakti, we naturally feel transcendental bliss within the mind. Upon hearing this explanation, the Lord began to laugh, and with great pleasure immediately embraced Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya very firmly. Indeed, that very person who had been accustomed to reading and teaching Mayavad philosophy was now even hating the word mukti. This was possible only by the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. As long as it does not turn iron into gold by its touch, no one can recognize an unknown stone to be a touchstone. Upon seeing transcendental Vaishnavism in Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, everyone could understand that Lord Chaitanya was none other than Krishna, the son of Nanda Maharaj. After this incident, all the inhabitants of Jagannath Puri, headed by Tashi Mishra, came to take shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord. Later, I shall describe how Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya always engaged in the service of the Lord. I shall also describe in full detail how Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya perfectly rendered service to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu by offering him alms. If one hears with faith and love these pastimes concerning Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's meeting with Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, he very soon is freed from a net of speculation and fruitive activity, and attains the shelter of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's lotus feet. Praying at the lotus feet of Sri Rupa and Sri Raghunath, always desiring their mercy, I, Krishnadas, narrate Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita following in their footsteps. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports to Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, 6th chapter, describing the liberation of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.